Once you understand these, you'll stop wondering why things never work out. You'll stop replaying old conversations in your head, asking yourself what you could have said differently. You'll stop chasing closure from people who were never capable of giving it. Because the truth is, it's not bad luck. It's not timing. It's you. Repeating the same patterns that smart men repeat without ever realizing it. You give too much. You explain too much. You care too quickly. You try too hard to prove that you're the good one. And in the process, you lose the very thing that makes you powerful, your center. You think being honest, loyal, and available should be enough. But the world doesn't always reward good intentions, it rewards awareness. Loyalty means nothing if it's given to the wrong person. Kindness means little if it comes at the cost of your self-respect. Every man learns this lesson the hard way. You think you're being strong by giving everything you have, but strength isn't in how much you give, it's in how well you guard what matters. Attraction isn't about the gifts, the words, or the attention you give her. It's about the energy you protect, the discipline you carry, and the calm that no one can shake out of you. A man who protects his peace becomes rare. A man who doesn't chase validation becomes respected. A man who stays silent in chaos becomes unforgettable. These are the 9 mistakes even intelligent, disciplined men make with women. Mistakes that slowly take your confidence, your presence, your edge. And once you see them clearly, you'll never move the same way again. Because attraction, real attraction, isn't built on effort. It's built on essence, on how you move, how you breathe, how you lead yourself when no one's watching. Fix these, and you'll stop explaining yourself to people who were never listening. You'll stop chasing what's meant to notice you on its own. You'll stop trying to prove that you're worthy, because you'll feel it. So take a breath. Let go of the need to impress. Put the world on pause, because what you're about to hear isn't a trick. It's not a game. It's not manipulation. It's Stoic truth, the kind that rewires your mind and redefines your presence, the kind that teaches you how to lead quietly, to speak less, move slower, and stand taller. This is what every man needs to hear before he gives his power away again. 1. You talk too much, feel too little. You talk and talk and talk, hoping that if you just explain yourself clearly enough, she'll finally see your side. You think if you choose the right words or say them with the right tone, it will make her understand you. You send long messages, long explanations, and long apologies. You rewrite what you said in your head again and again, trying to solve silence like it's a puzzle. But here's the quiet truth most men never learn. Understanding doesn't create attraction. Presence does. Every time you over-explain, you give away a little of your power. You teach her that your peace depends on her approval. You show that you need to be understood more than you need to be respected. A man who explains too much sounds like he's asking for permission to exist. A man who speaks little but stands firm reminds the world he doesn't need to. You don't have to prove your point to everyone. You don't have to convince her that you meant well. You don't have to fill every silence just because it feels uncomfortable. A strong man doesn't rush to speak. He waits to feel. He listens to what's not being said. He stays still enough to notice the energy behind the words. When you're grounded, people feel your meaning before you ever say it. That's the power of calm presence. It says, "I know who I am," without shouting it. In Stoicism, silence isn't weakness or withdrawal, it's command. It's self-control in its purest form. It's knowing that not every question deserves an answer, and not every reaction deserves your energy. So, next time she asks why you didn't reply fast enough, or questions your tone, your timing, your choices, don't rush to explain. Take a breath. Look her in the eye. Speak slowly, clearly, or don't speak at all. Let your calm do the talking. Let your stillness set the tone, because silence builds respect faster than speeches ever will. And a man who masters his words doesn't just control the conversation, he controls himself. And that's where real power lives. 2. You confuse effort with desperation. You tell yourself you're just showing interest. You want to be thoughtful, consistent, available. So you text again when she doesn't reply. You ask if she's okay. You check her story. You wait for her response. You call it effort. But deep down, it's not effort. It's fear. The fear of losing her. The fear of being forgotten. The fear that silence means you're not enough. But here's the truth: chasing isn't attraction. It's anxiety in motion. Every just checking in, every overreach, every little attempt to prove that you care, slowly chips away at your presence. You think you're showing affection, but what she feels is uncertainty. Your constant effort doesn't build connection, it builds pressure. A Stoic man doesn't move from fear. He moves from peace. He knows the difference between pursuing with purpose and chasing from insecurity. He gives effort where it's received, not where it's ignored. Attention without balance is self-betrayal. You lose your power every time you try to force a response. Every time you trade your calm for reassurance. You don't prove your worth by running after someone. You prove it by staying still, by being unmoved when she pulls away, by knowing that space doesn't always mean loss. Sometimes it's a test, and the man who stays calm through the test always passes it. Attraction isn't built through pressure. It's built through presence. The quiet confidence that says, "I'm okay whether you stay or go." That's what draws people in. That's what keeps them curious. If she's not matching your energy, don't argue, don't demand, don't beg. Simply pull back, not to punish her, but to protect yourself. Because your energy is sacred, and if it isn't being valued, it doesn't belong there. What's truly meant for you will never make you chase it. It will move toward you with the same calm certainty you carry within yourself. A woman feels safest around a man who doesn't flinch when things change, who stays still when emotions move, who gives space instead of chaos. That's not arrogance, that's presence. And presence, that's what makes a man unforgettable. 3. You try to be liked instead of respected. You nod along. You agree just to keep things easy. You laugh at jokes that don't touch you, pretend to care about things that don't matter to you, and say what you think she wants to hear. You tell yourself you're just being kind, just being flexible, just being a good man. But deep down, you know what's really happening. Every time you silence your truth to keep the peace, you chip away at your own voice. Every time you swallow your opinion to avoid tension, you tell yourself, "My comfort matters less than their approval." And here's the truth. When you do that long enough, people stop listening. Because you've taught them not to. You've taught them your boundaries are optional. Your truth is negotiable. Your energy is always available, even when it shouldn't be. You think being liked will keep her close. You think if you're nice enough, patient enough, agreeable enough, she'll finally see your value. But being liked doesn't make you respected. It just makes you easy to use. Approval fades. Respect lasts. Respect comes from alignment, when your words, actions, and energy move in the same direction. A Stoic man doesn't need everyone to like him because he's not playing for short-term comfort. He's playing for long-term peace. He doesn't chase validation, he builds conviction. He stands where he stands, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. He knows that rejection built on honesty stings for a moment, but acceptance built on pretending hurts forever. The moment you trade truth for comfort, you begin living as someone else's version of a man. You stop being real and start being acceptable. Women may smile at the man who pleases them, but they remember the man who leads himself. the one whose eyes stay calm when tested, whose tone stays steady when challenged. That's the energy that lingers. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to fight to prove strength. You don't need to be cold to earn respect. You just need to be real. Real men speak their truth calmly, clearly, without fear. Real men walk away when something violates their peace. Real men choose self-respect over comfort every time. So stop trying to be liked. Stop adjusting your truth to fit what someone else wants to hear. Because the moment you stop seeking approval, you start commanding attention not with words, but with energy. And remember, a Stoic man would rather be misunderstood for his strength than loved for his weakness. 4. You make her emotions your job. You see her upset, and instantly something in you tightens. She's distant, quiet, angry, and your first instinct is to fix it, to make her smile again, to bring the peace back, to ask, "What's wrong?" Until she gives you something that makes sense. You start explaining yourself, apologizing for things you didn't do, walking on eggshells just to calm her mood. You think that if she feels better, you'll feel better. But that's exactly where most men lose their power, because her emotions are not your responsibility. You're not her savior. You're not her therapist. You're her anchor, and an anchor doesn't chase waves. A Stoic man doesn't rush to repair every storm. He stands inside it calm, grounded, unshaken. He knows that emotions rise and fall like weather, and if he moves every time it rains, he'll never find shelter within himself. When she cries, you don't have to drown with her. When she's angry, you don't have to fight back or explain yourself into exhaustion. When she pulls away, you don't need to chase her shadow just to feel seen again. You hold space, but you don't lose yours. That's what separates the forgettable from the unforgettable. A woman doesn't find safety in a man who reacts to every emotion. She finds safety in the one who doesn't change when she does. The one who stays soft in his eyes but steady in his tone. The one whose energy says, "You can feel whatever you need, I'm not going anywhere, but I'm not falling apart with you." Her emotions will always move, that's her nature. Sometimes gentle, sometimes wild, sometimes unpredictable. But you are meant to be the shore, still, solid, unmoved. Because strength isn't about controlling her feelings. It's about not letting them control you. It's about being grounded enough to let her chaos exist without losing your calm in it. And when you can do that, when your energy stays quiet and steady while the world around you spins, she feels it. She feels safe. She feels trust. She feels you. Remember this, when you stay centered, you give her something real to hold on to. Something the modern world rarely gives her: peace. And in a world full of noise, drama, and emotional storms, the man who stays calm always wins. 5. You abandon your mission. You meet a woman. And slowly, everything begins to shift. At first, it feels harmless. You skip a workout here, delay a project there. You spend more time texting, planning, adjusting. You tell yourself it's balance, it's love, it's connection. But one day, you wake up and realize the fire that once drove you has dimmed. The goals that used to excite you don't feel urgent anymore. The things that once defined you now wait quietly in the background, forgotten, unwatered, fading. You start living for her attention instead of your purpose. You start measuring your days by how close she feels instead of how much you've grown. And, without even noticing, you begin to shrink. Then she changes. She seems distant, bored, restless. The spark fades. The energy shifts. And you're left wondering why the woman who once admired you doesn't look at you the same way anymore. It's because the man she admired disappeared. She fell for the man who was driven, focused, building something bigger than both of you. not the man who abandoned that world to orbit around hers. The truth is, no woman loses interest in a man with purpose. She loses interest in a man who loses himself. Because the moment you make her the center of your life, you remove the mystery, the challenge, the gravity that once drew her in. A Stoic man understands that love should add to your life, not consume it. It's meant to inspire you, not replace your direction. Your mission isn't just something you do when it's convenient. It's who you are. It's the pulse beneath everything you say and everything you build. It's what gives you presence, that quiet sense of direction that people can feel, even when you're not talking about it. When you walk away from your mission, you walk away from your masculine core. You trade your power for comfort, your focus for validation. And without realizing it, you become forgettable. Because nothing is more magnetic than a man in motion, a man with purpose. He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't explain his vision. He simply moves forward with calm certainty. And the world adjusts to his pace. She doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to see you living it. To feel the strength of your focus. To sense the discipline that grounds you. That's what makes her trust you. That's what keeps her intrigued. So stay on your path. Let her walk beside you, but never ahead of your direction. Never rearrange your mission to fit someone else's comfort, because the moment you do, you lose your gravity. When you chase her, you lose momentum. But when you chase your purpose, she feels it, and she starts chasing you. Your mission isn't a hobby. It's not a phase. It's your reason, your spine, your essence. And when a man forgets that, the world forgets him too. 6. You reveal too much, too soon. You meet her, and everything just clicks. The conversation flows. The laughter feels natural. It's easy, so easy, that you start believing this must be something rare, something special. And in that comfort, you start opening up. You tell her about your childhood, your pain, your past heartbreaks. You talk about your goals, your fears, your insecurities, all in the first few days, maybe even the first few hours. It feels honest, it feels deep, it feels real. But what you don't realize is this too much truth too soon can kill mystery before it ever gets a chance to grow. Because intimacy without timing becomes pressure. What you see as vulnerability, she can feel as emotional weight. Not because she doesn't care, but because she hasn't earned that level of access to you yet. You've given her the final pages before she's even read the first chapter. Honesty is important, but honesty without boundaries is self-sabotage. Being real doesn't mean being raw all the time. It means being clear and measured about what you share and when. A Stoic man doesn't rush to be known, he allows himself to be discovered. He understands that mystery isn't manipulation, it's maturity. It's emotional discipline, the ability to hold back parts of yourself until the moment is right. Because your story is sacred. It's not something you spill in hopes someone will value it. It's something you reveal slowly, with purpose, to those who've shown the patience to deserve it. When you tell her everything too soon, you remove the tension that fuels attraction, the curiosity, the wonder, the excitement of learning you piece by piece. You replace mystery with predictability, and in doing so, you trade depth for comfort. Here's the paradox: the less you reveal, the more she feels. The more she wonders, the more she invests. The more she senses that there's more to you, the more she wants to understand you. Don't confuse control with coldness. You can be open without being exposed. You can share with honesty without emptying yourself completely. Because emotional control isn't distance, it's wisdom. So, speak with intention. Share only what strengthens connection, not what feeds your need to be understood. Let her lean in, let her ask, let her earn the next layer of you. Because what's revealed too fast always feels cheap. but what's discovered slowly. Remember this, a man who reveals everything early is seeking comfort, but a man who reveals little, calmly, and with time creates desire. He leaves space for curiosity to grow, and that space is where attraction lives. 7. You react instead of respond. She pulls away. She cancels plans. She flirts lightly with another man, maybe even looks at him in a way she once looked at you. And in that moment, your stomach drops. Your chest tightens. Your mind starts racing. What did I do wrong? Did I say something? Is she losing interest? That's when it happens. That urge to react, to say something sharp, to text something emotional, to prove that you're not the one being played with. You want to reclaim control fast. But that's the trap, because every time you react, you hand over your power. Every emotional outburst, every defensive tone, every "why are you acting different?" tells her one thing: you control me now. See, most men think women test them to be cruel, but they don't. They test to feel something, to see if the calm they sense in you is real or just an act, to know whether you stand on solid ground or if you'll collapse the moment she shakes the floor. A woman's test isn't about her words, it's about your center. It's about whether you can hold your energy when hers becomes unpredictable. When you stay calm, she feels safe even if she doesn't say it. When you lose control, she feels like she's dealing with another boy pretending to be a man. A Stoic man understands that every test is a mirror. It doesn't reveal who she is, it reveals how much of yourself you still don't control. Every time you take the bait, you prove that someone else can decide how you feel. When you react, she leads your emotions. When you respond, you lead your life. And that difference, that pause between impulse and awareness, is what separates strength from weakness. Reaction comes from ego. Response comes from mastery. Reaction says, "I need to win this moment." Response says, "This moment can't take me from myself." You don't fight fire with more fire. You extinguish it by being still, by breathing, by remembering who you are and refusing to let the noise pull you off balance. So, next time she tests you, pause. Take one slow breath. Let the emotion pass through your body like a wave. Smile, maybe even laugh softly to yourself. Then continue, calm and collected, as if nothing has shifted, because nothing is louder than a man who stays silent when provoked. Nothing is more powerful than a man who doesn't take the bait. Silence isn't weakness. It's strength in its purest form, discipline wrapped in calm. Remember this: when your emotions are steady, your presence becomes magnetic. You stop being reactive and start being respected. And the day you master your reactions is the day you master yourself. 8. You build your peace around her. You wake up and reach for your phone. No message, no notification, just silence. And in that small space between seeing nothing and feeling everything, your mood begins to drop. You scroll, you check again, you see her online but not replying. Your mind starts to spin stories that don't exist. Maybe she's losing interest. Maybe you said something wrong. Maybe it's over. That's what happens when your peace depends on someone else. When your emotional stability is tied to a person instead of a principle. When you build your calm around her attention instead of your own discipline. If she's the reason you smile, she'll eventually be the reason you break. Because anything outside of you that gives you peace also holds the power to take it away. And when your happiness can be taken, it isn't peace, it's dependency. A Stoic man understands this. He knows that real peace is built from the inside out. It doesn't come from her tone, her replies, or her validation. It comes from consistency, from the small things he does every day when no one's watching. From waking up early, training his body, sharpening his mind, and keeping his word even when no one else will notice. That's where confidence grows. That's where stillness begins. You can love her deeply, but never let her become your emotional oxygen, because when your happiness depends on her mood, you'll always be gasping for air. You'll start chasing reassurance instead of growth, and slowly lose yourself trying to keep her close. Learn to find stillness in solitude. Sit with yourself. Listen to your thoughts until they stop controlling you. Let silence become your strength, not your punishment. Because the man who is content alone doesn't chase noise, he attracts peace. He doesn't beg for affection, it's drawn to him. He becomes magnetic because he radiates something most people don't have anymore: inner calm. Why is that so powerful? Because emotional independence is rare, and rare things are irresistible. When you no longer need her to make you feel whole, she begins to feel safe around you. Not because you cling to her, but because you don't. She can relax in your presence because your peace doesn't depend on her behavior. She feels free to be herself, knowing your world won't collapse if she steps back. That's what makes you strong. That's what makes you different. Not how much love you give, but how little you need to stay grounded. Not how perfect you act, but how peaceful you remain. Remember, this peace that comes from within can't be taken away. And a man who carries that peace doesn't chase attention, control, or comfort. He carries something much greater power. The quiet, unshakable kind the world can feel even before he speaks. 9. You apologize for having standards. You want loyalty. You want softness. You want peace, not chaos. You want a woman whose energy brings calm, not conflict. That's not too much to ask. That's called knowing yourself. But the moment you speak it out loud, the world starts talking back. You're too picky. You're controlling. You're insecure. They'll tell you that real men just accept everything as it is, that standards are judgment, that boundaries are fear. No. Real men accept reality, not disrespect. They understand the difference between open-mindedness and self-betrayal. Somewhere along the way, the world convinced men that expecting loyalty or peace was wrong, that wanting a woman who brings consistency instead of chaos is outdated, that being selective means you're insecure. But here's the truth: your standards don't make you controlling, they make you conscious. You're not asking for perfection, you're asking for alignment. A shared rhythm, not control. A relationship built on mutual respect, not emotional negotiation. You've spent years building your peace, learning discipline, developing purpose, finding focus. You've fought battles within yourself that no one saw. Why hand that peace over to someone who doesn't protect it? Why welcome chaos back into a world you worked so hard to quiet? A Stoic man doesn't explain his standards, he lives them. He doesn't lecture. He doesn't justify. He simply exists in such a way that his energy filters the people who approach him. If she meets them, she stays not because he begged her to, but because she belongs there. If she doesn't, he leaves calmly, respectfully, without anger or resentment. Because he knows this: arguing for your worth only proves you've forgotten it. And when a man forgets his worth, everything around him starts to mirror that loss. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your peace. You don't have to defend your standards to people who never plan to meet them. And if someone calls you arrogant for wanting better, that's their insecurity, not your flaw. A man who apologizes for having standards slowly loses his strength, but the man who stands by them, even when he's misunderstood, becomes unshakable. The more you value peace, the less you tolerate chaos. The more you live with purpose, the less you settle for distraction. So don't lower your bar just to be loved. Raise your energy, and the right ones will rise to meet it. Because peace isn't weakness. It's power in its purest form. It's the quiet confidence that says, I've built something sacred inside me, and not everyone gets access. And the moment you stop apologizing for your standards, you stop chasing love and start commanding it. That's when you become who you were meant to be. Remember, attraction has never been about saying the right thing. It's not about lines, clever words, or what you can say to make her stay. It's not about performing. It's about presence, about who you are when everything goes quiet, when you say nothing at all. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase, explain, or prove. The kind of man who can walk into a room and be felt before he's heard. The man whose silence carries more weight than other men's noise. The calm one. The grounded one. The man who moves with direction, not desperation. The man who leads with presence, not pressure. Who chooses peace over attention. Who values purpose over validation. Because in a world addicted to noise, the quiet man becomes magnetic. In a world full of men trying to impress, the man who remains still commands respect. He's the one people look to without realizing why. The one whose calm becomes contagious. The one who doesn't need to demand respect because his very being earns it. When you fix these 9 mistakes, something shifts. You stop trying to control her and start mastering yourself. You stop chasing comfort and start embracing clarity. You stop reacting to every emotion and start responding with wisdom. That's when you realize something the average man never learns. Power isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout, compete, or be seen. It's silent. It's steady. It's built in the small, unseen moments. In how you breathe when life gets heavy. In how you walk when no one is watching. In how you hold your peace when others lose theirs. Because the goal was never to impress women. It was never to win arguments or prove worth. The goal has always been to embody something deeper, to become the kind of man who cannot be moved, manipulated, or broken by emotion. A man who knows himself so completely that he no longer fears being misunderstood. A man who is at home in silence. A man who walks through chaos like it's just another day. And when you become that man, you won't need to understand women. You'll understand yourself. And once you understand yourself, you'll know peace in every room you walk into. That, right there, is where real power begins. Not in chasing, not in proving, not in trying to be heard. It begins in stillness, in mastery, in the quiet truth that the only thing you can ever control is yourself. And once you've mastered that, you've mastered everything.